Welcome to Elite 6 Business Networking Think Tank, facilitated by your host Danny DeHeck, the place where decision makers come together to share their experience, knowledge and skills.
It's going to give us better sound. So I'm just trying some new things today, guys. So we are actually officially starting the Think Tank meeting. Everyone's in a happy mood. I don't know what it is. Maybe they put something special in the water for the Aucklanders as well. So what we could do is we'd introduce ourselves. First of all, I'll ask my partner, Helen, to introduce herself.
I'm Helen. I am a photographer and I am a digital artist and I am a blogger. And
sorry, guys.
I think that, and a mum.
A mum?
Yeah.
Do you get paid for that?
No.
No, it's a shame they need to reinvent the wheel on that. We're just introducing ourselves, James, so we're going around the room. Paul.
Okay. Hi, I'm Paul. I live in Rangiora and I run Canterbury Computer Services and KiwiSouvenirs. We specialise in doing IT for small to medium-sized businesses.
And you sold a camera to Dave, and he isn't here today, so I don't know what's happened there, mate. But I don't know, he had to go away. So Dave Clarkson. Let's go to Lachlan McNeill.
Hi, I'm Lachlan McNeill. I am a recruiter. I also have recently started a brand called Earn Your Crust, funnily enough, which is all about the sort of wiggly world of a small business and careers.
Excellent. Rob Woolley.
I run Academy Antique, specialising in English porcelain. Not that anybody cares about that, but I also run Academy Training, where we help people overcome stuttering, develop public speaking and presenting skills, and learn anything around management and leadership.
Yeah, that's lovely. Mark Scown.
I'm Mark, currently doing the job for you as Health and Safety Officer. I'm just checking for the tsunami that may come in behind us, so an early alert from me will come your way. Clearly, I'm in the insurance business, so so I specialise in personal and small business risk, but with a speciality in being able to provide core leveled options so that people can have long-term, affordable and sustainable cover instead of paying stupid amounts of additional premiums as they age.
Excellent. Jalene.
Hi, this is Jalene.
Jalene can speak too.
Yeah, she asked me to talk this week.
It's Steve's turn this week.
We have chance. So you can talk.
So it's Jalene and Steph from the Odd Wave. We specialise in e-commerce. We build e-commerce stores and do integration and support for small business.
Brilliant. Do you want to have a go, Stefano, as well? You're not joined together at the hip. I've seen it.
We've recently become Nito Partners, which is another e-commerce platform that we offer. So we're e-commerce and Shopify partners, and basically what Janine said, we try and help businesses create online experiences for their customers and improve them.
And you're in lockdown at the moment, aren't you? Because the kids.
Yeah, we're in lockdown. 3 kids at home.
Yep.
Where's the third one?
We've been out a bit here, like
To the shops.
to the shops and to the beach, just for like a corner to kind of walk. Just like and share.
Yeah.
Very cool. And we'll have to get that sound going a bit better for you. To teach you some tricks. James, how you doing? Tell us who you are.
Hi guys, my name is James Parone. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm doing coaching people, building on motivational speeches and stuff like that. I encourage young people working with drug addictions and stuff like that. I don't encourage them into drug addiction. I just help them come out of their stuff and all the rest of it. Yeah, it's just a time of, I've just started a company called kaitiaki.com, and I've been going for the last 6 months, 7 months, and a lot of people have come on board at the moment as clients. And things are going really well. And I'd just like to encourage you all to do your best at what you do. I know you all are really good. I just know that by just listening to you guys, and I can see that there's a lot of enthusiasm out there. And at this point of time, I really like to think that we all can play a part in what we do here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Kia ora.
Really cool. And I watched listen to you speak on Tuesday night, and you're a very good speaker. I was really impressed with the way you came across, so it was awesome. And now a member of Elite Six, so welcome to the family. Raymond, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Cool. Who and who you are, mate?
I'm Sword Productions, telling your story through film. Currently gearing up for the 48-hour film challenge, which actually starts tonight at 7 p.m. If no one knows about that, it's we write, direct everything, and edit it in 48 hours. You've got to make a short movie.
So it's not like the 48 famine, then you're allowed to eat.
No.
Well, thank you for coming along today. So we have actually got a pretty cool topic today, and we will probably try to keep the meeting around about 30 minutes. I know Mark's got to go dead on 11, so that's not going to be too bad, actually. We're going to probably be finished by then. But what I'm going to do now is I will share the screen, and we have a mind map, and we have 4 parts of the meeting. To bash out the topic of branding strategies. And what we do is the first few minutes, we talk about people's experience with their brand, problems they've had with their brand, some solutions they've found that works really good. And then near the end of the meeting, we'll start talking about some takeaways that people can get got from our meeting. And then we'll come up with the topic for next week's meeting. So to start the ball rolling, we have probably around about 10 of us in here today. So branding, is it something in your business? Is it an important thing? What's your experience with your own branding? Have you experienced changing your brand? Or do you have any value in your brand? Or do you know what a brand is versus advertising, which was something that we were discussing at the end of last week's meeting offline?
I'll go first. I think part of my brand is that I am laid back, down to earth. I don't dress up, don't pretend to be the stereotype of what an antique dealer sometimes is perceived to be. And I think the name of my business, Academy, is part of my brand.
That does open a hornet's nest for me, because I sort of think a brand can be a swiggle. But I suppose it can be a name as well, isn't it? So is your business important?
Yeah.
And are you a brand? I believe I've got a personal brand called Danny De Heck. It's going to be great when I want to sell it.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same, and so I don't know whether you can see, and it was really after talking to Danny a year, 18 months ago, when I was setting up my new company as Manatahi Services, but they suggested, and I certainly agreed, is that the brand is me. So I'm Mark Scown, insurance broker. So that clearly is sort of set in my logo.
We are continuously evolving our logo and, the way we come across, just in response to the work we do.
Yeah, it's changed 3 times.
Well, actually more than that. Yeah, so in the beginning, our logo has just been going around in circles, but we're becoming more simple. So like in the beginning, we started off offering so much, but as we go along, we start simplifying what we're good at, and then the logo evolves together with what we offer to reflect our personality and the culture that we try and project to others.
The process of personal branding involves finding your uniqueness, building a reputation on the things you want to be known for, and then allowing yourself to be known for them. Ultimately, the goal is to create something that conveys a message and that can be monetized. And it also says it's creating influence and a public perception of an individual by positioning them as an authority in their industry, which is personal branding. It's from Wikipedia.
There you go. Hope my sound's a bit better now. It's terrible. I'm trying to work my sound. I said sound's going to be a problem for the next few weeks. Do we get this sorted? I'm trying not to get feedback through the microphones at the moment, just in case you're wondering.
So I guess it's finding your USP, isn't it?
Do we like the topic today? Have I picked a goodie?
Yeah.
Goodie?
I tell you what, I think that one of the challenges with the general branding is that just trying to separate the two, because what you find is you talk about branding and then suddenly you talk about marketing, you talk about then you talk about selling and stuff like that. But in terms of defining branding, it is the sort of perception, and that can go across various different media. It can go across the visual, the way you speak, the way the sounds you use, the general style of what you do. Marketing stuff is the execution of that, but I guess you could say the appearance and the perception of is the branding side of things. I think that's important, otherwise we all get off track. But in terms of me, I've got the core of recruitment. One of the problems I had was that I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I didn't know the area. I thought I might start with recruiting for engineers, but I thought I might end up with doing whatever, advertising people. So I picked a name, Acorva, which didn't mean anything on purpose. And it sat at the beginning of the alphabet. So it was before other recruitment companies called Adecco and stuff like that. So I was at the front, and I thought, well, and I had a domain name. So it wasn't really, I just thought I chose it because it sort of didn't hold me back, as it were.
So if your brand has a word on it that actually explains what you do, then is it a brand? Well, I know it can be a brand as well, but I actually think that a brand is actually nothing to do with anything. Like my 6 dots, for example.
Well, that could be part of it. But for example, the problem I had was, I mean, in hindsight, should I have called myself? There's a company called Technical Recruitment Solutions, and it's obvious what they do. And there's an advantage if you're looking through a whole bunch of recruiters. People think, technical recruiting, or engineering recruiting. Should I have done that? But that was one of the problems. We're talking about the sort of experiences and problems. My experience was that I really didn't know quite what I was going to be doing, so I just picked something that could cover it. And I also picked a sort of a name and a general. I was very vague at the beginning. I got more specific later on.
So what is the slogan then?
It is simply technical.
Yeah, and what do you do with a slogan?
Well, I think you attach.
Slogan helps to define what you do, so that if you were a Corva and you attach the slogan onto a Corva, then you're trying to explain to either external or internal customers what a Corva focuses on. And I think that the interesting thing is that a brand is basically what you do and how you do it, and a slogan is a describer of that, and a logo is the design
of that wee statement, isn't it?
Well, look at that. You see, you've got earn your crust, and it says, read, thinking, work. Well, that's generally the strap line or the slogan. It sort of defines it. And I notice a lot of people seem to change these over time.
Yeah, because I think I had decision makers on my Elite 6. So Elite 6, which is the company name, and then decision makers is what we do, and then obviously 6 dots. But now I've done away with using that branding. I've used the dots and carried on calling myself Danny the Heck. But I still have Elite 6. So now it's a sort of a service or something within that.
You actually made a comment there that you said you had done away with that branding. I don't think you have. I think you've changed your logo, but your brand has remained the same. Essentially, you are Danny, and you have a set of describers which describe what you do and how you do it. You've just changed your logo.
That's true, Rob. A lot of people think branding is just a logo and the name of their company, and there's way more to it than that. It's the whole package, really, isn't it?
Well, look at the Warehouse, for example. You know, they have a very Kiwi brand where everyone gets a bargain is their strap line. And the way they're dressed is relatively casual. You compare that to like in Christchurch, Ballantyne's or the top stores. It's quite a different brand and different feeling. Each to their own.
There's another thing that's in my brand which I forgot about, and that was the fonts that I use.
Yeah.
Fonts, I had to download them, and everything I do now I use that font. So that font, once you've seen it, theoretically, it's part of my branding.
Yeah. And the branding is generally the way you do stuff. You walk into Noel Lemmings and they have a certain general look and feel. And the way they come up to you in the shop, that's all part of their brand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Perception.
Didn't we?
Just a pity they never have any stock.
Oh.
I think if you have a look at Spark, okay, right. So Spark rebranded.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that we hear a lot of these terms often and we don't stop to think, oh, okay, you know, like we all know what rebranding means, but then we don't actually stop to have a look at a big company that has rebranded. So telecom, for most New Zealanders, was a big corporate who was impersonal. And then they changed to Spark, who is still a big corporate, except they're more friendly and engaging.
It cost $1 million, that logo.
What, the Spark one?
Bargain.
I like the Spark one.
I wouldn't pay $1 million for it. It looks like if you look at it, it's a scribble. And you're thinking they must have got there. Oh, what should we do? Somebody said, hey, use that. Give us $1 million. Yeah. What's a bad brand? What's some branding that you think is terrible? We did a search on the internet and found some bad brands last week, comically. But can you think of some big brands that you think, how do they get traction with that sort of imagery? I mean, is it like the one about Nike was quite interesting because that was actually his name. So he's actually managed to have a brand called Nike, which is actually part of the person's name who started the company.
That's the thing.
I don't actually know that it is.
I
wouldn't mind having a look at that.
Do that.
Yeah. And really the brand part of Nike is the tick, which was generated in a competition from a 16-year-old schoolgirl.
Yeah.
It's not. You know, like Nike was invented by a guy called Knight, and Nike is actually a Roman
messenger guy. It's isn't the messenger?
I can't remember now, but yeah.
What about New Balance? You know, does it really matter what brand it is behind them? I mean, sometimes you buy the product more than the brand, but the brand endorses you.
Yeah, but the very thing is that if you are able to recollect these brands that you think are terrible, the fact that you are doing it means that it's in your mind. So in some ways it could well be a successful brand because people can remember it, good or bad.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
Nike is the goddess that personifies victory in Greek mythology.
Wasn't what I was thinking of.
So being a small to medium-sized businesses, getting a brand out there is quite difficult, I've always found. I think sometimes it's just something that looks nice on your business cards, but is it really a tool? Is it something that's really important? You know, I've spent 20 years trying to build up my New Zealand's information network, hoping that will become a brand that people remember, but no one has actually ever, said that to me. No one's ever remembered the brand, but now they
I can hand you an example of years ago. There was a minister in the National Party who had a daughter who wasn't into politics. Years later, well after the guy had actually resigned, he had an unusual last name, and the daughter decided to stand and got elected purely on her name. Branding.
And her name was?
I'll just find it.
Minister.
I can. I'm just actually her name his name was Mr. Tizard.
Oh, Kath Tizard.
Was it?
Yeah.
It was in the In the
And she had
80s or
been-
90s.
And she had been a mayor of Auckland or something as well, hadn't she?
Yeah.
Kath Tizard?
Yeah. Well, she might have been elected to that, actually. It may have been.
So may well have been on her own public identity.
I think the other thing,
Nobody knew who she was, right? They knew the name.
Now, on that note, that's what a brand is. Your name, or if you like, your reputation. That's what a real brand is.
I think it's the meaning attached to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when you go to McDonald's, they've got a certain way of doing things, and of course, when you hear a name like that, it goes with a reputation. Wherever you go in the world, people will look at your reputation, even though you might think, oh, see, I've got this. I don't know if you can see that, but there's my card. But it's my name that will carry things through. It's who you are, because people need to find you. People need to see where you're coming from. And the only way you can be seen is just like Rob said, his daughter stood, and because of his name, now namesake is really the brand of everything. And that's when we talk about brands, we're actually talking about our reputation. Because when we hear about Rob, when we hear about Danny, who do we associate that with? When we hear about McDonald's, we actually associate that with hamburgers. I don't know if we do that, but if we hear about Nike, we associate that with sports, and it's good stuff. It's great stuff because of the name. And this is the challenge for us, is to have such a name that people, when they talk about you, or when they hear your name, they know what you're exactly about. And this is the challenge for me that I face when I'm doing branding, is that I have to have a certain reputation that they can associate who you really are. As opposed, there's a lot of other speakers, there's a lot of other coaches out there, but really, can they associate you with something? And of course, the logo is your advertising, but at the same token, do they know who you are? Can they find you in the world? Will they find you? This is the challenge for us.
Yeah.
Our branding or your branding has to be in such a way that it sticks out. It's not the same. You're not the same reporter. You're not the same kind of electrician. There's something about you that's so different. And I believe that this is the challenge for myself and for anybody else that's looking at a brand.
My name's quite unusual. When I had a business colleague who rang me up one day and he said, "Hey, I've changed my name." His name was Mark Stevenson. And I said, "What did you change it to?" And he said, "Oh, Mark Rocket." I said, "Mark Rocket? Why?" And he said, "Oh, well, your name's really, your name sticks, mine doesn't." So he's changed it to Rocket. Now he helps Rocket Labs, funny enough.
Yeah.
But he's changed his name to Mark Rocket. And that was what he did. So, I mean, I believe that personal branding is everything myself. So if you were going to put a slogan, might just be a bit off topic, but if you were going to put a slogan under your name, what would you say? I mean, you wouldn't.
I think that's a very good question, actually, because have any of us got a slogan? And if we have got a slogan, how do we use it? Like, do we use it to describe what we do to the customer, or do we use it to remind us of what we ought to be doing?
Yeah, I have one, and it's all been heard by you guys before, and it's the one that I try to encapsulate what I do and what my speciality is in insurance, and so my byline is ensuring long-term affordability and sustainability.
Yeah, so that would be a company, because you've used your personal name, and there you've got a.
That's my byline.
Yeah, for your business, and I was actually meaning, wonder what we'd have one if we personally had one. You know, I remember seeing a street performer say one, be true to yourself, be true to your heart, be true to your heart and be true to yourself. And I've always sort of lived by that. when I'm making decisions in life, but it's something I don't publicize, but it's something I quite like every time I think about, a decision I'm making in life.
If you take you and Helen, who were Elite Six and Mode de Vie, and you've changed onto your own name, that tells the customer a little bit about each of you straight away. How you brand is part of what it tells them.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see what happens. We'll tell you in a few months when we get it out there a bit more. We'll might just go on to problems that we've had. What's the problems with branding? If you're a naughty person, your brand sucks. There could be a problem. Or your branding isn't in line with.
That's why branding's not in line with
what you do.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes, like, people who start up a company will be so focused on what they call their company. So my company is actually called New Zealand NZ.co.nz Limited, which is my website address. It didn't, so that was my company name, but it was no association with my branding. But just recently, in the last 6 months, I've actually changed it to Danny De Heck Limited. But when you look at what I'm doing, I don't have, my company name has no representation of actually, well, it does a wee bit more now. It's more in line with my personal brand. However, I have an electronic shop, an outdoor shop, and another shop, an accessory shop. And you won't find my company, well, in the fine print, you'll find my company name, but you won't find any association with that company. I use it as a trading as name.
If you look at Virgin Phones, Virgin Insurance, Virgin Airlines, they've done a similar thing, but they do include the name in all the subunits, shall we say.
Yeah, it's like an umbrella.
And you're buying into the Virgin brand.
It's a brilliant example, that one. Because if you like,
it's an example. When I was over in Aussie and we flew on Virgin, I can't remember any airline being different that I've flown on around the world, except for Virgin, because you get onto Virgin and you got air hostesses who were young, smiley, happy, and
clearly not Virgin.
Personality. Probably not Virgins. Probably not Virgins. But
allegedly
full personality.
Yeah. They always had something fun going on, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good example of a brand, I reckon. I mean, obviously he's got 500 companies, but he's also, like we say, if it's the Virgin brand, it's there's a lot of layers of good stuff in there, really, isn't there?
Well,
yeah. But in terms of the problems, the simple fact is you change. Sometimes, I've gone from being small to being big to being small again, and your brain has to sort of, you're going to get misalignment sometimes.
Like the warehouse, if they decided to start opening corner dairies.
Yeah.
Does their name?
I would say that would be moving their brand up.
Yeah, but if you called yourself the Little Shed, and then suddenly you've got 500 stores around New Zealand, well, again.
You also have to be very careful with what you choose as your branding, because I can remember years ago with the kids, with the warehouse branding, the kids were singing the warehouse where everything's cheap and nasty. So it can be very negative. It's like when Spark changed. Spark was to sort out telecom. Spell it backwards and it's craps.
Yeah.
You've just got to be so careful what you name things, and also what does your brand mean in another country?
True.
Because there's a brand called CAC. Well, in Welsh, that means crap.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we looked at the one in Hong Kong, and near Hong Kong airport, there's a store there called Wanko.
About Vietnam, hang on air.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
If you have a look at that image, right, that I put into the chat box, that's the logo for Noel Leeming. And if every person who works for Noel Leeming does not see NL, it's an animal.
Okay, we'll keep the meeting online. We're sort of going off about the only one I'm.
No, I don't think we're going off at all, because it's what people perceive, and once any meaning is attached to, like the logo, the name, or whatever, it's very hard to unattach it.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
It looks like an elephant.
The problem is what?
The problem is that everything can attach a meaning onto your slogan, logo, or name. And we want to attach what we specifically want there to be, but other people may perceive other things, and once they've seen it or perceived it, it's there and it's real. It's hard to undo.
And it could be negative to your business.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, every winner's going to have a hater, and you can never win them all.
Right.
Any other problems with branding that we?
Yeah, I work with a guy who's got a recruitment company, another recruiter, and his name is Richard Foster, and his company's called Fostera, which is so similar to Fonterra. And we work together on jobs. We get candidates ringing up and said, "Oh, I'm inquiring about the job with Fonterra," and they think it's a job for the milk company. So the name's too similar.
So he's got work out of that thing, has he?
Well, no, not quite. But yeah,
formulas to recruiters.
Yeah. I tell you what's a very quick, funny story. I've got an 0800 number, 0800 a Corva, which by pure chance is also those first letters are the same for one of my competition. And they rang me up one time and said, "Oh, look, we've got this number. We should have this number." I said, "No, I got it first." And they said, "Oh, well, what are you going to do?" And I said, "What do you do?" They said, "We're a recruitment company." I said, "Well, so am I."
So you're picking up their stuff, right?
And that was very much the oh bugger moment for them, actually. And they got 0508, but I get people ringing up.
Yeah.
Trying to chew me.
Oh, you got a kitten.
Oh.
The new addition to our family.
Oh, be careful.
It's hurting me.
I think to overcome these issues, that if you've got a lot of money, you work out what your logo, slogan, name is, and then you ask other people who are completely naive to what you do, and say, "What do you think?"
Yeah. So one of the problems is confusion with other brands. Yeah, no.
Yeah, well, there's a problem. Yeah, confusion.
Yeah, that's a confusion with other brands. Yeah, you're right. And also just the instant perception. I mean, I've always talked about the thing in Brownie's mattresses, which I couldn't think of a worse name. Even if your name was Brownie, I just wouldn't put Brownie's mattresses. I'm sorry. Yes, Jolene, that's what I was thinking. Am I the only one?
No. When I was at boarding school, someone put a banana under a mattress.
Oh no!
And I forgot about it. It was under someone's bed. And when they found it about 3 months later, the staff refused to believe it was bananas and had the whole bed burnt.
Oh, yeah.
That makes me. I did a truck Brownie's mattress the other day, and Helen pointed it out to me.
That's what I was trying to say before. It's funny that you said that, Lachlan, because when we were driving around the other day, I kept seeing all these companies like that one, Brownie's mattress, and it was underwater driver or diver.
Peter Diver, the plumber.
Diver, yeah. And then there was Underground Brown.
Underground Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the guys that do the digging without using diggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they boring machines.
Yeah.
Yeah, underground. But it's quite funny. I mean, the poo man, that's kind of funny and it's purposeful, so that's okay. But for some reason, that makes Brownie's mattresses just the worst because it's not intentional.
Back on topic, solutions. Some solutions. We're picking your brand. Could you get somebody else to do your branding for you?
Mm-hmm.
I did that with Elite Six, and I actually handed it over to a friend of mine who knew Elite Six really well, and I said, "I don't want anything to do with it." I said, "I've got a budget of $1,000, which wasn't a lot." And he knew a lady who just redid their branding, and I liked it. And I said, "I really like that."
Yeah.
And they come back with the concepts, and basically they nailed it first time for me.
Yeah.
I think.
And what Rob said before about getting someone else to test it, we had our brand done, originally a Corva one done, and they tested on people.
Yep.
So I think it depends on your audience as well, because you need to work out who is your customer. Like, for example, if you were to call yourself elite anything, that just like the word that pops into my head, if people were buying on price, are they likely to call up elite blah de blah? Because the word elite implies upmarket, expensive.
Yeah.
Now I inherited that brand, so I didn't have much say on what the words were. But when the branding lady came back, she actually used the word 6 instead of the number 6, which was a bit of a change. I thought I never thought of doing that. And then the other thing, if you use speech recognition and try to say Elite 6, you can imagine what comes up on the screen. Elite 6. So that was
Which sounds a lot more attractive.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden, Elite 6, when did I start a business doing that? But I mean, the point is, it's quite close to another word that maybe isn't good for the business, because people often trip me up on that. And half go, oh, did you say Elite 6? And I'm going, oh, no, 6.
Yeah. I wonder if the perception of the number means that elite is highlighted, and if you alter the number onto a word, then like elite is slightly minimized. So I wonder if that was her mentality.
Good example of a brand then. How many people go to Elite 6?
Well, I still think of Elite 6.
None.
6. Shut up. 6. Because that's something I've been battling with for years. People think there's only 6 of us at the meetings. So was it a good name originally?
It's a good point.
Yeah, it had constraints, didn't it?
So I have to explain the concept that we sit in tables up to 6, and then they go, oh, so that was the idea of the dots. And then originally that was actually a table with dots around the table, but it looked dumb, so I got rid of the lines around the table. But yeah, I mean, this is where my limiting and my growth has often been that people don't want to turn up to, if there's only 6 people there, they're too shy.
Got you. Yeah.
Group of people there, they'll come along. So it's always been a hard thing to promote that brand. So in some ways, I bought the brand. I liked the logo when I bought it, and I changed everything. And then I hung on to the brand for years.
Yeah.
And I've changed it. Theoretically, I should have just rebranded the whole company and called it something else.
Call yourself Business Networking Online.
Yeah.
Then you'll pick up all the business network sites.
Yeah. But having said that, Danny, I've been involved for 4 years now, and I have never conjured up Elite 6 as being just for 6 people.
Yeah, true.
I was curious at the start, and then subsequently found out that the idea is to break into groups of 6. But it certainly didn't enter my head or thinking right at the word go that it was only for 6 people.
But Mark, you're the sort of person who would ask the right questions. And a lot of people just don't come through the door because they make this assumption and off they go again, you know. It's like we have the thing with Toastmasters, you know, Danny, Toastmasters obviously well, you know, how many people actually come to Toastmasters to learn how to give toasts? Not a lot. It's an older name. And so people think, oh, well, I don't want to give toasts. I want to learn how to speak in front of a business group. So I'm not going to go to Toastmasters.
My new blog.
And I think we've got a slogan as well, you know, like we're
leaders are made.
Leaders are made. I'll get that out eventually. You know, like where leaders are made.
Yeah.
And 90% of the members, you know, like believe, well, this is all about speaking. And so, you know, like the members aren't actually the owners of the brand.
What James said before about the branding to attract people is good. And I think it also, in some ways, in a not cynical way, is you want to detract, you want to distract, or what's the word? You don't want the people you don't want to approach you. For example, my technical recruitment, that really means my strapline. I don't want people who, maybe they're artists or whatever. I don't want them ringing me up and saying, can you help me with the job? So part of the thing is to make sure that is to be clarity.
Good stuff, guys. So solutions for branding. I just thought of another one when you were talking there about the branding, and that was the fact that because your name is so weird or your brand is so weird, it generates curiosity.
Yeah. Elite 6 does.
Yeah, maybe it does. I mean, so maybe you don't have to explain things in your logo too much. Well, that's the purpose of a brand. So what is the purpose of a brand? Did we discuss that?
I read that to you before.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't listen.
It's you creating
Sorry, Rachel.
yourself as an authority in your industry, really, and having a unique selling point, being different, your uniqueness.
So if you were to put a brand on a horse with a hot iron,
Yeah.
would you put your phone number, your slogan, and all those other things to explain what the brand's about? Or would you just whack the poor little horse with a hot iron so you've got people would go, oh, I know that's his brand. So is that, this is where, advertising overlaps with branding so much, because people want their brand to send a message, but the reality of it is actually the brand should be something that people know because they've seen it before because of their advertising.
Yeah.
I think if everything is going to speak, so your logo, slogan, name, car, vehicle, right, the way you speak, how you dress, everything speaks. And I think, like a lot of the big brands manage everything around the brand, absolutely everything. Do we need to do that? Well, probably not. But have we thought about the influence on our brand of how we speak, talk, answer emails, like all of that stuff, because it's all branding.
Hey, Bob, I'm just looking at your message here, and you said slogan not aligning with product.
Yeah, I was just going to say slogan aligns with product is the solution.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, got that mixed up. Well, maybe
aligns with product.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you, put an S on it.
Yes. Yep, so there you go.
Yeah, align with products or service.
Yeah, product or service. Yeah.
Interesting. We've had a couple of different sort of strap lines. I've just got a mark here. I don't know if you probably can't even see. I don't know. Can you do it? And it's the core one. It's first things I put the name on it, and I put lots of people around, because the time we had some 5 or 6 people, and a lot of recruitment companies were only one person. So I thought, well, I want to let people know we've got more than one person. But we put a thing here because it says a little smarter, because we deal with smart people. Most people I recruit are smarter than me. But also, I didn't want to be corporate. So that's hence the strap line, a little smarter, which I thought actually worked quite well for us.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And it's interesting, you've got avatars on your cup there, but they're not part of your branding, but they endorse your brand.
Yeah, they are. They actually are part of the branding. I've got, everyone had a business card like mine here, which has got my picture on. These are all actual people working for the company. And each of them had their own little thing. That's Frankie there. She heard.
Hi, Frankie. We love Frankie.
I want a little person.
We'll time you guys in a hurry, so we only need a couple more solutions. So, I like my branding at the moment. I think most people have an intimate relationship with their own branding, but then when you show it to somebody else, they go, and that always doesn't help your ego a wee bit.
I think the core solution is to find your audience, though.
Yeah, I think you've got a couple of choices here, right? You can either create your brand and live into it, or you can work out who you are and create the brand that aligns to actually where you are now. So, do you want to move into it, or have it actually recognize who you are at the present? And it may change in the future.
I'm just thinking, do companies need branding, or do individuals need branding? And if it is individuals, I'm a real big believer of personal branding. And that's where I'm putting all my energy now, is my personal brand, because I'm a small person. But if I was a corporate company, bang, I need a logo, or I need a brand. So as individuals and small to medium-sized businesses, maybe company owners, yes, need a brand. And maybe as individuals, we might not.
Yeah.
As James said earlier on, you are your personal brand, because your name is your brand.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not as if you're not needing a brand, you are that brand. But I guess in terms of solutions, you actually know when your brand is successful, when the general punters out there can reflect back to you what they think you do.
Yeah.
And if they can't, the message hasn't gone out there.
or if you're right, customers turn up, frankly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at somebody like Donald Trump, you know, he's got a brand going on
Mm.
as the golfer. I forget his name, whoever he is, the young boy that just had a crash or whatever his name is.
Woods.
Yeah, yeah. When you look at those guys, you know exactly what they're involved in. You don't have to think twice because the reputation is going before them.
Yeah, and it's that very same reputation with Trump. About 5 or 6 of his hotels have gone out and ripped the name off the front facade because they don't want to be associated with his brand.
That's right. You see, that's the weight you carry with brand. And if we think like that, we've got to behave in such a way that people say this is what they believe in, this is what they don't believe in. So, you know, you can get it or get it. I got a logo that's coming out like the shape of a cross. Now, people, because it's kind of having the cross as a brand is kind of be controversial. Some religious, some non-religious, some hate it, some love it. But the thing is, it provokes thought. It'll have to provoke thought. It'll have to provoke. Why has he got a cross? And the word on it is going to be called crossroads because I'm a coach. I'm doing those things. I'm bringing it into my space. Yeah, sorry.
I have to go, guys. So I'll cut out of here.
All right, see you, mate.
And I think you could get away with it by calling it, having the slogan Crossroads.
Yeah, that's right.
That just says it, that generates curiosity, and then you answer it all in one.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people, I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's an excellent idea. And I think there was an excellent example about Trump, because if you're a supporter of Trump, you would probably want to go and spend money at a Trump venue, right? Yeah. If you're not, you won't, but you probably wouldn't have gone anyway. So who is your customer?
Yeah, that's a really good example, that one, isn't it? Because do you want to associate yourself with the person you don't like? You just don't want to go there, do you? If you didn't like Trump and you wanted to go to his golf resort, it's called Trump Golf, you would probably avoid it because and so now it's his branding, his personal brand isn't working for him. We don't want to go on too long, so I wanted some takeaways that we got from this meeting. I think one that James just said, actually, a brand should stimulate your thinking.
I think a brand can be purposeful, or it can just, like, occur.
Yep.
Should be purposeful. Yeah, that's a good one.
I think sometimes you need to change your brand too. It's like when you see whereabouts. Okay. When you see a company rebranding, I think Countdown a wee while ago rebranded and they had a new logo and they refreshed it all up. And I thought, oh, good, they're here to stay, you know. Company I used to deal with, Tui Campers, they rebranded themselves in it, same name, and it's just all been redone, new font, new colors, but you straight away recognize it's the same company. I think it's something that we sometimes hang on to our brands too much.
Okay.
Right. Any more takeaways? Anyone else got anything out of that meeting that we've had today?
I like to just say, Danny and Rachel, when I think of you, Danny, I think of you both, and that's your brand. Because you both are in my mind. It's like that's how you've got me pictured. When you talk about your brand, I think of you both. If one of you's missing, I'll be looking for the other kind of thing.
Rachel was my ex-wife. This is
Helen. Oh, sorry.
Mate, what a faux pas! What a beautiful faux pas there, James. That
was sorry.
It's a joke.
Yeah,
it's a joke.
Right.
The other one I quite like about our personal brand at the moment is I've got danny.co.nz and Helen's got helen.co.nz. So it's quite a cool thing to do, you know, for a New Zealand company. But my brand is actually theheck.com, which is an American one because I want to be in the international, you know, but that's the extreme way of taking your personal brand somewhere, isn't it? So trying to get your first name.co.nz would be quite cool.
Yeah.
Where we go?
But there's so many different angles you can take there. You can have a name that's meaningful.
Yeah.
To be able to allow you to adjust within it without having to change it every time. But as well as that, ideally needs to convey things quickly.
I think what I got out of it a wee while ago, I had 3 websites and I was managing 3 websites. By consolidating them all under my personal brand, I now have one big website, and everything I do that's new is a service, and I can just add that into my website. So same with Helen, really. She was called Motivate Photography. Now we call her Helen Oakes, and now she's got a service of photography. And if you go to services, she also sells digital art. She also can help people with online courses in the business of photography. And now she can add more to her website and more services and things she has to offer, because she's not limiting herself to her Motivate Photography brand.
Yeah,
people just assume she's a photographer.
I got you. In terms of the, sorry, Helen.
Yeah, I was struggling with just having the Motivate Photography because I do other things as well, and it was sort of holding me back. So even though I did like the name Motivate, a lot of people couldn't spell it or didn't understand it either.
Yeah,
so that was another reason. But having my own name, I can add loads of other things into it now.
Yeah. It is a problem having, you got the corporate brand or the sort of company brand, like I've got a Corva, and then you got the personal brand, and just trying to manage those two, because it seems to me that the personal brand is something you can carry through. You can have a number of businesses springing off that, but there's a real advantage if you are, a property broker or something, be able to call yourself Property Brokers Limited is absolutely clear what you do. So you don't have to kind of explain it to everyone. So it's I actually think these days, ultimately, people end up with a bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was struggling with this one. Do I call it Lachlan McNeil? I mean, I can have a LachlanMcNeill.com, but it's hard to spell. Doesn't mean anything. So I have to explain it to everyone. So I think I'm going to start with that and see how I go.
I used to actually under my brand I used to put by Danny De Heck. So New Zealand's Information Network by Danny De Heck. NZ by Danny De Heck. Now Danny De Heck is the brand.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we agree in terms of takeaway. It needs to have minimum explanation, really, to people get the picture pretty quickly. I know you and your images, Danny, people look at it and they think, okay, I sort of get it. It's a business-oriented environment.
By association. All right, guys, what about...
Yeah, instant bang. Like you get it, boom, move on. Yeah.
Rob, you posted in the chat room there, is that a Spark is up market, and is that a takeaway?
Yep, true.
It's like Air New Zealand and a Jetstar, really, isn't it? That type of thing.
Yeah. Just, and they divide it up, completely, because, they're aiming at an audience that generally is not overlapping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right, guys, what about next week's topic? We'll try to keep the meeting as short as possible. Advertising.
I was thinking, we talked, Danny and I were talking the week about sometimes you've got to bring money in the door really quickly.
Yeah.
And like in recruitment, there's certain things I can do sometimes inside recruitment, sometimes out. Just sometimes maybe entering new markets or getting money in the door or something like that. What about that as a subject?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to come up with courses, for $97 that we can sell over and over again.
Yeah. And quick money.
What should we call it?
I like advertising because advertising is, like a specific act, and, it's not marketing. Like marketing is, like your place, price, product, and promotion.
Yeah.
Like advertising, I think is interesting. I've learned a lot about advertising in the last 20 years or so.
But I think you don't have anything to sell. You don't have any advertising to do. So I'm thinking, is there something that we could get money in now?
You're always advertising.
I actually think advertising, though, is a separate subject. I mean, I think we've done branding today. It'd be nice to do advertising in a couple of weeks. But, I mean, you look at like, who is it, Gary V. He says, look, think of what you can sell around the house. And it sounds silly, but the low-hanging fruit because I don't know about you, but I've always had times when I've had to get some money in the door, and I have my drafting business and recruitment. You know, things can take 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You know, so it's like a slow turning ship. What do you do? What's some ideas? And it may be something within your business alignment or something completely different. You know, just a thought.
I think I quite like that. Does anyone else just like that?
I like that. Sometimes you're so, you know, worried about you can't pay a bill and you're going, what can I sell? I can sell my old bike, or blah, blah, blah.
I sell
and there
Helen's
are
car.
ways to make money, you know,
Yep.
the things that are lying in your garage that you can definitely make money from. Most
Yeah,
of
yeah.
us are a bit too lazy to list them.
Yeah.
Well,
And also, you got sometimes product.
oh,
He's gone. What does that mean?
So, and I don't know. I mean, it depends on people's situation, you know. But I've had times when I think, oh, okay, I could really do it. I need, you know, $2,000 or something. But also, just thinking about this one, that's for perhaps next week. But what about doing advertising the following week? What do you think about that?
I think
Or getting brand exposure as well. How do you get your brand out there? Because we've just discussed branding. How do you get it out there? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to add a few. So what was it? Do you want to talk?
because you need your brand to be known, don't you?
We have this for following week. So advertising.
Yep.
Was that right? And then what was the other one we talked about?
Getting your brand out there.
Brand exposure. Yeah.
Brand recognition.
Oh, getting your brand out there.
Yeah. Just we're also talking, Danny, yesterday about you like me for earn your crust, and it almost makes my head explode because when you ask advice, you get 15 people telling you should do all these things in all these different platforms.
Yeah.
And the fact is, if you did half of that stuff, you'd go bust. You know, but the thing is, working up what platforms you use, and a platform doesn't necessarily need to be a social media platform, but what channels, what are your main channels, what's your home base? You know, do you use Facebook, do you use in person, do you have your own website, do you bring everything there? It's a big subject, but just deciding what your general platform strategy is.
I had a guy in the networks, he sold insurances, 90% of his money coming from knocking on people's doors.
Yep.
No one does it anymore. And
no, that's right.
He used to have a calendar, and that's what he used to do. Hey, just respects for time, I'm going to actually stop recording this meeting. So if you are listening to it on our podcast, thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe to any platform that you're listening to us on. And the other thing too is everyone in this room does have a profile on the Elite 6 website. If you go along to our website, you will find this podcast and you'll be able to click on their names and find out what they do and who they are. So I really thank you guys all coming here today. And we'll be back next week at 10 o'clock, which is the new time, 10 to 11. And I really appreciate all you guys tuning in and your efforts and your input. So thank you for sharing your knowledge, experience, and skills.